We'll call this work session to order. And I think that, according to our strategic plan, we need to be kept updated often so that we know how we're moving forward. And this one is with the facilities. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Well, wait a minute. I probably should go through for the record who all is here. So District 1 is absent. District 2, Supervisor English is present. District 3.
Supervisor Judd is here.
So we have 2 of the 3 board members. The public may attend this meeting by Microsoft Teams computer or mobile app or by phone by calling 602-609-7513 or 888-680-6714, conference ID 188. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to get my glasses here. These numbers at this time of day are starting to wobble.
It's like a human chain in there.
All right, conference ID 188-811-449#. If you have trouble accessing this meeting remotely, call 520-432-9200 for direction. Work sessions are a time for county staff to inform and discuss agenda items with the board of supervisors, and public comments will not be taken. As usual, when we have work sessions, introductions should be made as soon as you start to speak. Give your name and the title because there is a complete record kept of even our work sessions. So having said that, now I'm going to turn it over to Henry Miraz, who is our facilities director.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Supervisor Judd. Henry Miraz, Cochise County Facilities. Just real quickly, we're going to be talking about some of the projects that we've completed this year, some projects that are still in progress, and a few projects that we still have planned for this fiscal year. And probably the bulk of the discussion, I want to talk about the replacement of one of the BDI wells. It's been a little over 3 years since I started here, and I do want to thank the board because I feel like I've had a lot of support, and I think that the board has really put forward a lot of money towards a lot of these projects, and I know I've hit the board with a whole lot of projects, and there is a fear that too much done on the front end could mean in 15, 20 years we're going to have these expenses come up again, but these are expenses that I just kind of felt like we couldn't leave them unchecked. We had to take care of our roofs. We have to take care of these HVAC systems. And the exteriors of our buildings were really beginning to suffer because the paint had just thinned out so much that the stucco was compromised. So what have we done? Well, we've tackled the stucco repair, the significant issues. The facilities, we've taken care of it here at Melody Lane at the Sheriff Admin Building on Judd Drive, at the Colonia de Salud, and we're probably next week going to finish some stucco repair in Wilcox. So with that stucco repair done, that's going to be a good starting point so we could get the painting done. The BDI terminal, we finally got that done. When I got here, the building was closed down, and there was basically a remediation plan for some floor tile. And we ended up leaving it closed because the more I dug into this thing and the more tests we had done, a lot more problems started to surface and a lot of things we needed to take care of it. We spent some serious money getting some remediation work done in there, and yeah, I think it's a good feeling knowing a building that old that we've cleaned it up of those hazards, and we've got it fixed up, and it looks really, really neat. It's really clean. It smells great. It's very attractive.
It's not vintage anymore, though. That was kind of a neat feeling before.
It did, especially that cafe-looking component of it. So,
and the bathrooms, they were just wood.
Yeah. We did leave the lobby. It's very clean. It's got new floor tile, new ceiling tiles, but we've left the walls and stuff in place so it maintains the lobby itself has that vintage look to it.
Well, that's good.
The Douglas Road Yard, that was another one, almost 3 years, and I really wish it wouldn't have taken that long, but we ran into some problems with a contractor. And so there was a lot of steps we had to take in trying to deal and get around and get rid of the contractor. And we still had plenty of enough money left over that was not paid to the contractor that we were able to utilize, and facilities was able to finally get that building up and going. The HVAC installation at the courthouse, the HVAC system is in place, and there's still some adjustments being done, balancing. It's a it's an extensive system, but it's pretty delicate too. But they're balancing this system. It's taken several months. It's a good thing we've got a two-year contract with Pueblo Mechanical to kind of keep working out the bugs out of this system. What still needs to be done with the courthouse is we have a gearbox, a service entrance section. It's a big, huge electrical box that's outside the courthouse that we need to install. We need to have it installed, and the lead times and the problems with the just getting all the parts and everything. It took over 18 months to get the parts. So the way I understand it, it's March 23rd through the 27th. APS is going to cut the power to the courthouse. Courthouse is going to shut down, and we're going to replace that SES section. We just heard from Arizona Public Service as well that they want to replace that transformer that's next to our SES. It's a ground level transformer. We are hoping that they can find a transformer and do all that at the same time. But APS is a little doubtful that they have a transformer on hand. So it could be somewhere further down the road, but there might have to be another shutdown so that they can install that transformer. Recently, we just tackled a little remodel project at the in housing here on Melody Lane. They're anticipating getting more staff. They needed it, so we opened up some walls for them so that they have better room and space for filing and stuff. And we got some carpet tiles in there for them and painted their offices, so they're in good shape. The Rico house was a house that the county had acquired, and I can't remember exactly when, but it's right next to the courthouse. Do you remember?
Yeah, a long time ago. We called it the drug house. We didn't call it the Rico.
Yes. But we got it fixed. We got a solid floor in there. We built some cages, and now that's where some of our legal departments have room for overflow paper storage.
So it's just going to be used for storage?
Yes. There's no, we don't have any bathrooms in there. We gutted the bathrooms out. But it's right now, if you wanted to get water in there, I've tried to get water over there, even just a spigot, but it's very cost prohibitive.
Over time, we've talked about just tearing it down. But.
Well, we got a new roof on it. We got it painted. Got a new solid floor in there. So
instead of paper, we just put another building and stuff it with paper?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's legal requirements to keep those documents for the defense officer. Yeah, on there.
Think how much less space a little thumb drive would take.
We just completed a floor rehab project at the sheriff's office in Douglas, at the Douglas Regional Service Center. That floor was a VCT floor, and it's really getting damaged quick, and the subfloor underneath it was really taking a beating. It had ruts and grooves in it and stuff. So we fixed all that, and now we've got the.
What do they do in there to mess it up? You never see them there.
I don't know when they're in there, but they're in there. They're typing. They're at those cubicles, and the chairs with rollers were just just eating up the ACT and the subfloor. Let's see, we got, there was an exercise room that our fitness component through the health department had at the old high school. When we closed the old high school, sold it, we needed to relocate that little fitness center. So we relocated it to the jury assembly building, a couple of vacant rooms over there. So we got that taken care of. We've got, I'm hoping we have really conquered the storm drain water problems at Foothills. Foothills, once we cut the jail away from the building and got rid of the jail, we thought, oh, no problem. We had a big slab out there, and when it would rain and water would run off, that was causing problems with doors and stuff. So now we put some in-ground drainage, and so far it seems like it's working. We've had to get some awnings over some doorways and stuff. So seems like with every good thing we step forward, there's a few other problems we didn't anticipate, and we're having to try and clean up. Vital records in Douglas. We finally got another wall built in there so that particular area of the health department is considered secure, and those records aren't accessible by all kinds of even other health department employees. As we speak right now, we're still in the process of, we have A&R Fire. It's working to try and get the fire system, internal fire system at the jail, at the county jail, up and going. They're replacing all kinds of horns and strobes and pull stations and the main panel that's in the control room. And we also have a little remodel project going on at Light Fleet right now. There's a few, the parts room, they're putting several offices there, a conference room, and a few cubicles. So I think right now all that's left for that, we're just waiting. It should be any day now that we get the last of the pieces for the data, so we could run. This remodel is kind of, IT is, there's like 16 data lines that they need to run and get over to this new area. So they need quite a bit, and the traditional 3/4 inch conduit and stuff wasn't going to cut it. So we got some data tray units that are going to help disseminate all of that Cat5 cable. And I think I already spoke a little bit about what's left on the SES, that service entrance section, replacement at the courthouse. Okay, so what do we still have planned for what's left of this fiscal year?
Wait, Henry,
Sure.
number one up there should have been the heater for the boardroom. Is that not on your list?
We did make progress last week on that. We did. We got trained down here, and it was a whole bunch of programming issues.
Let's work on the cooling, because it's
I'm going to say, by the time summer comes,
So
felt like there was air conditioning today.
we conquered that. That's not on there, but we did conquer it. So the painting, I think the painter is going to be starting this Thursday, or he wanted to start this Thursday. He's going to be starting here at Melody Lane. He's going to hit here, Sierra Vista, Wilcoxon, and the admin building for the sheriff's office.
What color are you going to paint this building?
We're almost there, but I'm going to defer to Sharon. She could.
He's put me in charge of colors for some reason. Sharon Gilman, Deputy County Administrator.
You're in charge of colors?
I know it's a bad idea, but there's a few. You commented on the squares that we have on the backside of the building, paint samples that we're considering. The idea being that we would have different colors that coordinate from building to building so that people can help with direction giving, saying that, you know,
The green.
the green building, the orange building, and we'll have signage as well. But we haven't settled on those final colors, but they're going to start with the eyebrows, the overhangings, of painting those a charcoal black or blackish gray color. And then we'll have our colors.
Okay.
If you have opinions, I'm willing to hear them.
There's a vendor that we secured to replace the roof above the Board of Supervisor hearing room. They wanted to start today. We had to tell them, no, today's not a good day. They are going to be replacing that roof over that area with it's a TPO roof. It's kind of like it's like a rubber, like a fish pond liner. That's kind of one of my favorite roofing systems. I have a lot of faith in it. So I would think that in the next couple of weeks they'll be getting started on that. We also have a vendor lined up. We haven't got an official start date yet, but for $20,000 to recoat and give us a warranty on the Douglas roof. One of the next things we're trying to get moving on is trying to remodel the finance department.
Again?
They are
Again.
Well, maybe not since you've been here, but it seems like
It's
every
only
time we
medical.
get a new director, they've got to rearrange the stuff. You know.
Yeah, that is a very tricky area, and that is one remodel that I gotta say I support 110% because it's tricky. You've got like HR needs to kind of come down, walk through their area to get into the lobby. We're trying to kind of create a flow system that where staff that are coming down from other areas, buildings, E&F, aren't necessarily going through the middle of all they are doubled up in some offices. They're basically taking their file room and we're going to create some offices, additional offices in what is now their file room. Because you got a lot of staff that are doubled up in their offices, if not tripled up. So, and they've been patient and they have not, they really haven't asked a whole lot of this. So our goal is to get that done by October, because I believe they said in October is when they're going to be hit with some serious audits. So they're going through audits now. We're still working with vendors trying to tackle some very good signage around this Melody Lane campus. And we're hoping, our intent is to get the signage to try and match up with the color scheme of our buildings to help kind of guide and funnel John Q. Citizen here to Melody Lane. And then the maintenance building. The maintenance building, bids just closed on that. I don't know that there's going to be really big movement anytime soon in regards to the actual building itself, because what we're trying to do is handle a lot of the in-ground utility work, the trenches and stuff, just to get water, gas, electric, sewer right up to where the building site's going to be. And if we can kind of do those and use and get with contractors, we can really keep the costs down, as opposed to right now if we told in the bidding process, hey, factor all this in and do it, they're probably just going to add another $2-3 million onto the cost. So we're trying to take care of that a little bit more
Are
in-house.
you trying to get sewer there or on septic?
It's sewer. There's a sewer line.
Septic here?
This is sewer. It's sewer. We're on sewer.
Don't we still have some septic on this
We do
property?
in the road yard area, striping,
The training center.
the training center. Marty, help me out, where the engineers are, the sign shop people, and you have staff over there as well. So, yeah, and it all goes, believe it or not, it all goes down to the septic tank that's in front of the training center. all of that
Okay.
works its way down.
I knew we still had septic somewhere, and I thought that should be on our brain to try and remedy that.
Most of, with the exception of down there in the public works area, it's all on septic. They're all in sewer. Okay, the BDI well. Is there any, before I talk about the well, is there any other questions about buildings, projects, bridge, anything? Okay, so BDI well replacement. I got in touch with,
Stop just 1 minute. Let me ask this question, so I won't be wondering about it. Everyone who was in the old high school has been successfully placed somewhere or good, not in a temporary place that we have to figure out later on, right?
correct.
So no public defenders, legal defenders, blah, blah
Nope.
defenders still looking for a home.
No, we've all successfully relocated all our children.
Well, need to ask, because it seems like every time I turn around, well, we started to work with Douglas on the housing, and now they need to have theirs all fixed up again. And, the unintended consequences of us trying to do the right thing. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I reached out to Brown and Caldwell. They've done work historically for the county in the past out there at BDI, replacing sections of water line. And they've done, when well 8 failed, they were out there getting cameras inside the well, and so they're very familiar already with, and that is their business. They do a lot of the well work for municipalities in the Phoenix area and around Tucson. They have a lot of hydrologists, geologists, and hydrogeologists. So I reached out to them, and what they did was, in phase 1, they did research. They pulled data and information from neighboring wells and ranches and ranchers, and they looked at all these water samples that we've had taken. We get them taken almost every week there at BDI. And they looked at all this data, and they were trying to figure out, okay, what's probably the best place to put this well? And one of the things they found is that if they can get it within 600 feet of the existing well 8, then it's not considered a new well. It's a replacement well. So we've been very fortunate up to this point that well 7 has been the only well that has been feeding the prison and the airport. And these last few years since I've been here, we have been continually working to beef up that well and keep it very stable. And so well 7 is our only well. We need, and we've been very fortunate, we need a backup well. And so well 8, since it'll be within 600 feet of well 8, it's going to be called well 8R, R for replacement. And it's not like when this well gets done, it's not like any more water is going to be pumped out of the aquifer. It's a backup well. And we may alternate the 2 wells just so that they each run. At this point right now, given the water consumption that's happening, that's not going to change out there. The amount of water we're using, that's what we're going to continue to use. We're just going to have a backup well, redundancy well placed. So,
Was well 8 the one that they drilled and the water was weird?
no, that was
And the water was not.
that was well. That was technically it was well number 9, and it was over by the elevated storage tank,
Okay,
the elevated water storage tank.
all right.
So
So we're not getting into a problem
No, we're not going back on and near the elevated storage tank.
Okay,
We're staying where we've had good water
okay.
By the highway.
by the highway, probably within about 2 football fields lengths from well
The
7.
first one, yeah.
So phase 2, we asked Brown and Caldwell, now that they figured out the best place for a well, they had pulled and done all their research. We said, okay, if we go here and this is where you want to drill, are we in good shape? So what they did is they went and they sent a driller out there to start taking soil samples to make sure there were no contaminants in the soil. So they did that, and everything was good. All the samples were good, and they developed a technical specification plan. It's a pretty lengthy plan that of the deliverables that's expected of them and what they would oversee for whoever would be out there as a general contractor that would be drilling the new well. So they completed phase 2 of this project at a cost of $37,000 for us. So this map here, so this is the elevated storage tank put here. This is the terminal building, and way down here by the highway runs right over here, is well 7 and 8. So well 7 is the one that we're currently using, and there's a water line that runs in this direction all the way up. And then somewhere right in here, it starts to cut over and feed all this now. So I'm telling you, right in here, in this section of pipe, there is it failed back, I want to do this before I got here, so I think it was in 2019 that it failed, and KE&G replaced a good section of the line right in here with C900, that blue plastic water pipe. And that's important because what will happen now, down here at well 7, we have is the power supply and the backup generator. It's a massive generator, and it feeds underground all the way over to well 8. So what will happen is the intent is to bend the electrical in this direction and build a new well number 8 right in here. And then they're going to tie in to the discharge line, the supply line, in this direction, right where the C900 is. So, because right now at well number 8, the old abandoned well, the discharge line comes all the way over here to well number 7, and then it goes up this way. So they're going to sink the new well here, come in at an angle, and tie in to some really stable piping that's there. So Brown and Caldwell in phase 3 would basically be the project managers of this. They would be handling all the paperwork with ADEQ, ADWR, and they would have oversight of the work that KE&G and their subcontractors would be doing. This is at a cost of $180,000. So they would also make sure that well number 8 is properly sealed in order to finally completely abandon well number 8, the old well as it exists now. There's some things that have to happen, and we have to cut the welded plate that's on the pipe, and they have to fill the hole, and they have to use cement that's got some very, very well-defined specifications and slump to it and fill the hole and stuff. They'll oversee that. KE&G do the work. They would be using, they plan to use D&M Well Service, who's very familiar with the soil and the water table out there to actually, but the D&M would be subcontracted by KE&G. So KE&G would break the replacement project down into two different projects. Project number one would be the actual drilling of the well, and project number two would be setting up the well house with the pumps and another backup generator and the chlorine distribution system. So be two different. They ultimately would break it down into two different projects. So, and here I explained where there'd be about 2,400 feet of new 12-inch water supply line on where I showed you a tie-in. So Brown and Caldwell, for their oversight and project management, $180,000. The well drilling, which K&G would have D&M do, that's $851,000. And then K&G would handle the building of the well house itself. So
Didn't you tell us that they were going to move everything from the other side?
Yeah.
So it cost that much to move it?
yes. And they're
What did
moving.
it cost to build it in the first place?
The whole thing was 1.3.
No, I just meant the building.
Oh, the building itself. I want to say back then that was probably about $500,000.
That's what I'm saying is it seems like we paid that to build it. Why not just build it again instead of having them?
I think
Make
now to
Lego
build it
toys
now,
out of it.
the way costs have gone up with parts and supplies, and it's
Oh yeah, let's use that word inflation.
so they'd be moving everything. The electrical service panels that are it's a heavy duty electrical system that's out there. It's 3-phase electrical.
So
So
you wouldn't have to wait for the parts.
no, it's there. Unless they come at us and say, no, you can't use these parts anymore. It's all still in really good shape. Go over there, we still exercise stuff just to make sure everything runs. We don't send no water anywhere. So it's $1,557,480. Last year, during the budget planning process, I worked with Dan Duchan, and in the 400 line, 1415, he does have a category for BDI well. It's a contingency line that he's put $1,590,000 in there. So the money is budgeted, it's there. In addition, money I have in my airport 105 line, I've got 1.2 million there. So we are covered financially. I asked Annie to come here so that she can give you the details and the vowels on what K&G and Brown Caldwell.
So I'm Annie Cole, I'm the contracts administrator. So with Brown and Caldwell, the way we would move forward with using them, they're on an Arizona state contract for this type of work. And with KE&G, they're on a City of Yuma contract that we could utilize to have them perform this work. So those are the contracts like Henry and I have been in communication throughout this whole process, and we're going to go down this road, and those are the contracts that we would plan on utilizing to allow these two contractors to get this work done for us.
So you don't have to do any advertising or anything.
That is correct.
And you should make it quick, right?
Yeah.
This is, it's taken a while. I think we started,
A long time ago.
yes, it's just
1970.
I think having Brown and Caldwell is going to be a blessing. I mean, it's taken a lot of the decisions on it. The county is not making decisions in terms of where to dig the well, they're really handling, they're the experts, and they'll have to stand behind their
Well, we got burned once. We should have been smarter this time. Did we give them the money out of the American Rescue Plan? Is that,
Not for
we
the
talked
well.
about that.
No, we did, but because there was enough in contingency, we used ARPA for other things, like the HVAC at the courthouse. We did use ARPA for that.
Okay. Because I knew that we had talked about budgeting for it before, and we're sure that we had the money to do the project. But those of us that are here when the water went down and we had to bring in, what, rent a rain?
Rain for rent.
Rain for rent. And we don't want to go through that again. We need redundancy.
I agree, and well 7 is pretty stable right now. It's good. It's got years on it. It's got age, and that's why we need this redundant well.
Right, because 7 and 8 used to bounce back and forth to each other, you know. And then, well, 8 started to have, I don't know, gravel problems and, you know, all kinds of sediment was getting in there, tearing up the equipment. Okay, sounds good. Anything else that you had in mind for today?
Yes, not for Henry, though.
Okay, Henry, you're dismissed.
Do you have any?
Well, I did have something since Annie's here. I was in the health department in the Wilcox building, and they have a room full of things like old filing cabinets and stuff. And if there's ever a place for
This is outside the meeting, correct?
Annie, no,
Or-
well, it's about buildings,
Okay,
procurement.
so we won't end the meeting. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah. So they said that someone was going to come pick it up and haul it off. I guess kind of for you too, but it's still sitting there. One
Yeah.
of their rooms is completely full of stuff.
We work together, procurement with facilities, and one of the things, like with moving everybody around out of the old high school, is we used to use the little warehouse space right next door to us for any overflow, but that's now where the library is.
Okay.
So it just kind of limits our space. So once we do an auction and clear out, then Henry and I get together and we know who's been waiting for stuff to be moved. And that's how we kind of go down the line. Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that you knew and had to
Yes.
be able to give them a report. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything further? More questions?
No,
Okay,
that was the only thing.
this work session is adjourned and the next one is as soon as we can get the people here.